Welcome back to another episode of the FPL Sheeple podcast, a podcast that aggregates elite FPL content and delivers it straight to your ears. We are back after a super long game week that probably didn't matter to many people in the end, as the Dennis captaincy disappointed a lot of people in this double game week. But no worries, as two more double game weeks will follow soon, and so all the buzz in the FPL world is all about planning, planning, and more planning. I'm Carling FIFA, and today we'll go through that a bit as well. And as usual, we'll have our usual agenda for the game week. So let's get right into it. So we'll start off typically by reviewing game week 23. And what we do on the FPL Sheeple podcast is we have picked 20 FPL content creators who we follow throughout the year. And then we sort of take a look at their teams every week to figure out what are the good picks. And we also listen to many of their podcasts, listen to their videos, and also read their articles to keep an eye and keep a track of which are, the favored moves by the bunch of these content creators. So every week we also look at their starting 11s from the previous game week, and that's what we have in front of us right now with the template team from the 20 content creators who we are following. So this week there were quite a few what we can call as differential picks. So Foster, since he had a double game week, was the keeper, but he ended up not playing the first game. But did play the second game and got a clean sheet, so that was a relief to many of the FPL players who picked Foster in goal. He was only in 7 out of the 20 teams for our content creators, so yeah, he was a bit of a differential. I think many content creators still have De Gea and Ramsdale, so yeah, the goalkeeper position is still sort of split across all of them. Then also Phil Foden, Bruno Fernandes, Marcos Alonso are also sort of picks that are in the template team, but they are not really, in the large majority of all the 20 content creators teams. So that's another interesting point here. And looks like Dennis and King did end up being sort of a template to have in this double game week with both the Watford strikers. And actually it turned out Josh King, who was also my captain, contrary to what I said towards the end of the live stream last time around. Josh King was also my captain, and he was the captain for many others as well. Turned out he was slightly better amongst the two, because Emmanuel Dennis got a red card in the first match and ended up getting -1. So people who captained him got -2, and there's a very small proportion in the FPL universe that triple captained him, and so that was unfortunate, and they ended up getting -3. I think I remember a couple of seasons ago, Sadio Mane also had a double game week, and many of the content creators or other many of the FPL players ended up triple captaining him, and I remember he got injured in like 10 minutes, and so that was another disappointing captain pick that I can remember from previous seasons. But yeah, I think Dennis is probably also one such example that people are going to talk about in the future and just laugh about it a bit, I think. But yeah, so I think there was a lot of buzz this week amongst all the content creators that, somehow a lot of them fell into the trap of getting the double Watford strikers, even though Watford is, perhaps not the best team. You can't really rely on them to, score big points. So having two Watford players was a risk, and maybe people went for them because of the fixtures especially, and turned out there were managerial changes at Watford. Roy Hodgson is back, and it didn't work out the way people thought it would. So yeah, in hindsight, many content creators were wondering if they should have just not done something as aggressive as this and held on to players, because now the way the fixtures are coming up, it probably was best not to have both the Watford players in the team. Nevertheless, we'll take a look at the dilemmas a little down in the episode. And for before that, let's take a look at how the game week went for me. So I ended up getting 42 points, which was, I think, a very good score for this game week, because the average in FPL was really low. I mean, for a double game week, it was actually a really low scoring game week, which was super strange. Otherwise, normally you do get at least 50 points or something like that, 50 or 60 points in a double game week. Uh, just because, I mean, on average, the players will score those many points. But this time it was just sort of interestingly low. For me, my hero was Luca Dean, and so I felt really nice that in the last live stream I went for Luca Dean, sort of against the creator of the week's suggestions, but I had a feeling that that was a good pick. It was amongst the ones that are you know a neutral pick and was not like a hot property sort of a pick. So that's why I just went for it, and it turned out to be much better than going for the double Watford forwards. So yeah, so that was the major difference maker, and I got 42 points, and everywhere else it was sort of uh, you know just blanks, I would say, across the board, except the De Gea clean sheet. And then we have these nice stats from livefpl.net. So shout out to livefpl.net. If you haven't checked out the website, do. It is an amazing website that keeps tracks of how your team is performing in the context of all other teams around you, around your rank. So, for example, in my case, what is called a safety score, as in the score that I should get minimum to hold my rank. That was 36, so I got 6 more than that, and that led to a green arrow in my case. And I would say it's a big green arrow, because I went from 89k to 74k, and I'm like really well into the top 100k, and I really hope I can stay here for the remainder of the season. I'm 14 points away from the 50k mark, so I don't know. I think I should go for it. Why not? I mean, now actually changing the roster and having the content creators from the top 100k really seems to have, reaped benefits for us, because now we are seemingly picking good transfers uh, that all of these different content creators in the higher ranks have, and perhaps at least it's heading in the right direction, at least for me. We'll take a look at how Donatello is doing as well in the next few minutes. So hopefully this continues. I understand the nature of our podcast means that we could see a bunch of red arrows, but yeah, so far so good. So coming to Donatello's team, he ended up having a bit of a poor one. He got just 25 points, and so he fell down quite a bit in the rank. He was 94k, and now he's at 119k, but that's not too bad. He's just 7 points off the top 100k, and the 7 points are something you can easily gain in a game week or two. It's not a big problem, and now with the double game weeks coming up, I'm sure he will set up his teams so that he comes back into the correct part of the ranks, shall we say. For him, at least his captaincy pick was the right one amongst the Watford forwards. He got Josh King as a captain, same as me, so 6 points there. Apart from that, his Foster clean sheet was the only other pick that gave him points. Every other player blanked, and so that's why it turned out to be a poor game week. Even though on paper his team looks really good, it was just that kind of a game week, as I said at the beginning. So yeah, so let's see how it goes for Donatello. He's not too far off the 100k mark, so I'm sure he'll bounce back in no time. All right, so then let's take a look at the results and the points from the content creators that we follow. So every week we follow 20 content creators, as I said, and we take a look at how they performed in the previous game week. So the winner for game week 23 is Chaz, or As Phillips, and he got 47 points, and obviously it was because he had Luka Dean. I think as has been Luka Dean's proponent for a couple of game weeks now, he went for Dean instead of Dennis up front. So yeah, he also was talking about it on the FPL Black Box, which is the podcast he co-hosts. That that was a decision that he was really happy with in the end. Apart from that, he got 8 points from Ramsdale and 5 points from Jota, which uh, gave his total of 47 points, and that's why he ended up being the top of the charts for this game week. And then coming to the rest of the content creators, so every week what we do here at FPL Sheeple is also make a spreadsheet that compares the starting 11s of these 20 content creators plus the two of us, myself and FPL Donatello, and we take a look at the game week points. We take a look at what the total points in the overall rank are, who the captains were, and also we took a look at which are the most common players for these 20 content creators. So we have, starting from the left, we have the most common players. So in this case, Trent Alexander-Arnold is in every team, so is João Cancelo. And then as we move to the right of the spreadsheet, we see the players that are more rare and in across these 20 teams. So the likes of Jota, Bowen, and if we go to the right, Madison and Foden, these are very rare picks. So we take a look at this spreadsheet every week. It's obviously linked in the description of our video and our audio podcast. So do check it out. You can scroll around. It also gives you an idea of which are the good players to pick every game week, or perhaps not, at least the pool of players that these content creators have. So even if you know, uh, even if you think your team is needs some sort of a change, you can take a look at these pool of players to get a hint of which are the good picks. So that's why we feel this spreadsheet is really useful. So then we also take a look at some of the takeaways that we have from this spreadsheet every week. So this week it's just my takeaways, and I typically look at the range of points and what is the reason for the range of the points. So this week it was, for example, between 24 and 47 points, and it was because the king captainers were first of all on top, because that's a difference, because the king captainers got 6 points and the Dennis captainers would have gotten -2 points, so that's a difference of 8 points right there. And then obviously there were some difference makers. So in this case it was Digne with the 12 points, Ramsdale with the 8 points, and De Gea with the 6 points. So whichever teams had either one of this player or a combination of these players were obviously on top in our spreadsheet. So these were the difference makers, at least in this game week. And what I noticed is that because because the double game weeks have been announced, so game week 25 and game week 26 are both double game weeks. We'll take a look at the schedule uh, really soon. uh, so especially, so Man United are going to double in game week 25, which means that having Man United players is going to be good. And turns out that many of the content creators already have Ronaldo or Bruno, and I think a few of them have both. So they're pretty set. So it didn't look like this game week or a game week before that Ronaldo and Bruno together are going to be important in the next coming game weeks. But yeah, FPL has typically thrown a sort of a curveball, and now looks like Man United assets, at least for game week 25, is going to be is going to be a thing. It's going to be suggested a lot. So uh, so that was interesting. And then many of the content creators wouldn't even have to make these moves, so they can concentrate on other parts of the team. So yeah, that was something I noticed, because neither me or rather I don't have Ronaldo or Bruno, and Donatello has Ronaldo. So it'll be interesting to see how I try to get towards either of these two players, and what Donatello does with his team for the upcoming double game week. Uh, so speaking of which, let's take a look at a little bit about what's already known. So I have with me the sort of announced double game weeks and the fixtures that is compiled by Ben Krellin. So shout out to Ben Krellin. He is part of our content creators list, and he keeps a track of all the possibilities of double game weeks throughout the season. And I feel this is sort of the peak time for Ben Krellin's work, because he's right on top of things, and also trying to predict when a double game week will fall by also looking at the schedules of all the competitions and all the teams that are in it. So in the table, he will typically have the information for Champions League matches, for FA Cup matches, for EFL Cup matches, and because a lot of these fixtures are already announced, he will pencil them in and figure out where all the different teams can potentially have double game weeks. So that's a really useful planner that he puts out really openly on Twitter. So you can just follow him on Twitter and get this information. And he also manages to give sort of some odds to when certain teams are going to definitely have a double game week, or maybe not in some cases. So all of that is indicated in this calendar. So looking at the announced fixtures so far, so I'm going to focus on game week 24, 25, and 26 only. So as I said, in 25, Man United are doubling, and so are Brighton. And then in 26, there are lots of doubles. There are like 7 teams that are doubling. So it's going to be a big game week in 26. And importantly, Liverpool are going to have a super easy set of double fixtures in game week 26 with Norwich home and Leeds home. That's really juicy, and so it'll be amazing. I think it's going to be Salah triple captain time. I think I'm going to spoiler alert. I think in the episode for game week 25 and game week 26, I think Salah triple captain is going to be one of the most obviously suggested pick that game week, no matter which content creator ends up being creator of the week for us. So yeah, so looking forward to that. And so looking based on this, that's what the content creators have been looking at, the like Ben Krillin's planner and a few other planners out there, to figure out how to get all of these different assets. For us on this podcast, we tend to look at just the creator of the week and what they have suggested for that week, and try to implement those suggestions in our team. But it's nice to have this perspective for us, so that even amongst the picks suggested by the content creators, we can probably try and have players that potentially are going to double in the next couple of game weeks. So would help to have that perspective. That's why we also looked at the ticker in this episode. So really interesting things are going to happen in the next couple of game weeks. Hopefully we get a ton of points, and here's hoping everyone gets a lot of green arrows. There are other possibilities, like game week 27 can potentially also be a double game week, and so there's going to be a lot of double game weeks soon, and then there's going to be a huge blank game week in game week 30, where there are only 3 fixtures possible for now, but obviously we'll know more as we come closer to the to that game week. But yeah, so a lot of moving parts, a lot of exciting things going to happen in the next few game weeks, and I just thought that we should have that perspective before we go head on into those game weeks. So coming back to the creator of the week. So this week we have, as I said, Az Phillips as our creator of the week. He's a part of the Fantasy Football Scout Network. He's a really important contributor there. He's, as I said, a co-host of the FPL Black Box podcast, which I at least try to regularly catch. It's really interesting, has a very detailed data-oriented view of FPL and player picks in general. So helps to see what the data says by listening to their podcast. His current rank is really good. He's at 4,118. He's really flying high. He's doing really, really well this season. So yeah, a real pleasure to have him as part of our roster for the second half of the season. He's played FPL for 14 seasons so far, and his best rank has been 817 in 2017 and 18. So yeah, really nice. And he's been in the top 10K 3 times, top 50K 4 other times, and top 100K on 3 other occasions. So 10 out of the 14 seasons in the top 100K, stellar record, obviously. And yeah, playing really well. So happy to have him as our creator of the week, and take a look at his suggestions. So what as suggested, and throughout the FPL Black Box episode that happened a few days ago, is since they look at every position, I tried to pick out which were the picks that he was really interested in, and which are the picks that he was not so enthusiastic about. And it looked like he was in favor of getting in Luka Dean. Obviously he has Luka Dean already, and so his sort of choice is vindicated, and he's like, let's uh, you know other players should also try to get Dean, because Steven Gerrard and Villa really rely on fullbacks, and so Dean is going to probably explode in the next few game weeks. He also fancies Tariq Lamptey as a good option. I think that also frees up cash. So I think the Chelsea defenders who are going to blank in the next few game weeks can be sold to get in the likes of Lamptey, and freeing up cash, so that one can invest in the midfield or the forwards, because of the double game weeks. Uh, the striker Edward from Crystal Palace is another interesting one. The Edward popped up on top of the data charts on the FPL Black Box episode. So looks like he's doing well. I think he's only second to Kane in the last 4 fixtures in terms of attacking output, at least in terms of XG and other sort of interesting metrics. So Edward is the one that can get in the team, and Watkins, as really fancies Watkins and his sort of potential in the next few game weeks as well. So yeah, these were the ones that, as suggested, we can try and get. He is also keeping an eye out for how Dominic Calvert-Lewin is going to perform with Frank Lampard taking over as manager at Everton. So yeah, he has a feeling that DCL could really explode in the next coming game weeks, but we'll wait and watch. And he said to avoid Trossard. I mean, Trossard is anyway diagnosed with COVID now, and he won't feature for a couple of weeks. I guess couple of game weeks. So yeah, he's anyway an avoid. And Neil Mope is another one who he said to avoid, because it looks like Neil Mope is not part of many big chances, and doesn't end up being at the end of scoring the score sheet. So yeah, Mope is another avoid. When it comes to captaincy, as was persistent about captaining Bowen, and yeah, I mean, I think he himself is probably going to go for Bowen captain. So that was his number one suggestion, but he also said that one can captain Salah if Salah is back. And it looks like, so just before I started this live stream, there were clear reports, and even Jurgen Klopp's press conference saying that he's spoken to Salah. Salah is back, and Salah said to him that he's ready to play. So I'm sure after the disappointment of the AFCON final, I'm sure Salah is raring to go, and just probably also even itching to score a lot or something. So yeah, I think that's good news. So people who sort of patiently held on to Salah might turn up having him as captain, and that might turn out to be a masterstroke. So we'll see. So Salah is a good captaincy option, and other captaincy options, as said, were Ronaldo and KDB. Ronaldo is someone I think has a spot up, but I don't he really he really fancies Ronaldo as a captain pick, even though he has him. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he'll probably go for Bowen captain, and KDB is another captaincy suggestion. So yeah, so based on as his suggestions, we've made changes to our own teams, and let's take a look at our teams for game week 24. So starting with Donatello's team. So yeah, as I said, Chelsea defenders are going to have a blank. So Donatello has done the uh, good thing of you know transferring out James to get in Luka Dean, and he's obviously also gone for Bowen captain and Ronaldo vice captain. So similar, so sort of taking in the suggestions that as said. So just to read out Donatello's team, he has De Gea in goal, Luca Dean, Cancelo, and Trent. His midfield is Phil Foden, Lucas Moura, Bowen captain, Madison, and Smith Rowe, and his strikers are Ronaldo vice captain and Dennis. King, who he's benching because they have a tough fixture against West Ham. So yeah, so that is Donatello's team. I think, as I said, his team anyway looks good on paper, and yeah, I think he should get a good set of points. Hopefully, gets back into the top 100K this game week. If not, I'm sure he'll be there soon. Uh, right, and then coming to my own team, uh, I have I have made a different change. I have transferred out Josh King, and I've brought in Edward because, as I said, he's topping up the data charts for strikers, and he, as I said, having some perspective on the next set of fixtures. Palace have a good set of fixtures in 24 and 25, plus they have a double in 26. One of the fixtures is against Chelsea, so that might not turn out so great, but the other is against Watford. So yeah, so 3 out of the 4 fixtures in the next 3 game weeks is a good mix, I would say, and that's why I transferred out Josh King and got in Edward, who is in hot form. So that was my change. My team is De Gea in goal, and just like Donatello, I mean, we share most of our team. Luca Dean, Cancelo, and Trent is also my backline. My midfield is also Bowen, captain, Lucas Moura, Foden, and Jota. And my forwards are Watkins, Edward, and Kane. So the forward lineup is where I'm completely different from Donatello. I have Watkins, who as highly rates, so I'm happy to already have him in my team. Edward is another one he suggested, and Kane is the one I picked a couple of game weeks ago as a sort of a differential, and I hope he comes good against Southampton, especially. So yeah, things are looking good. I'm really optimistic about the next couple of game weeks. The My ranks are also improving steadily, so I'm happy. Let's see where we go from here. So yeah, so I guess that's about it for this game week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a good game week. The deadline is in another 4.5 hours from now. So yeah, make sure you lock in your changes, get all the information from all the press conferences soon, so that we can get a hang of what are the latest injuries, etc. And yeah, good luck to all of you. Um, Good luck to all of you for game week 24, and I'll see you before game week 25, where I'm guessing we'll talk a lot about the Man United doubles and who to get in and how. So yeah, so good luck everyone, and it's goodbye from me.